What's the craziest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
That I don't date black women.
Marjorie Harvey was reportedly up until the early hours of the morning consoling her daughter. And the person who told the internet about it is not someone you would expect. It is Brandy Harvey, Steve's eldest daughter from his first marriage. The one who has been conspicuously absent from most of the Harvey family's curated public moments. The one whose relationship with Lori and Marjorie has always been described as something less than warm. Brandy Harvey is apparently done staying quiet. And what she is saying, or what sources say she is saying, is that Lori cried into her pillow over Michael B. Jordan while the rest of the world celebrated his Oscar win.
Just remember that you're the prize always.
Say that one more time.
Just remember that you are the prize.
That image, of all the images, the man who took her home to his mother, the man who spent Christmas with her family, the man who told interviewers that marriage was on his mind while they were together. That man just won the Academy Award for Best Actor. And she reportedly could not even get him on the phone. He sent her to voicemail.
Lori, I was gonna cut her off, and she just went, "Daddy, stop." That was all she said was, don't play. Because Lori really thinks she's the special one. She really does. Lori, I told her I was gonna cut her off because she's making a lot of money right now, and I was gonna cut her off, and she just started laughing. And then she said, "Well, and you're not gonna speak to me anymore?" I said, "Yeah, I still talk."
He never called back. And Lori, who spent years telling the world she was on her own terms, who posted about the prize and the standards and the peace she would not compromise, is reportedly up in the middle of the night while her mother tries to hold her together. To understand why Brandy Harvey, of all people, is the one this story is coming through, you have to understand the full complicated architecture of the Harvey family. Steve Harvey built his second family with Marjorie and her 3 children, including Lori, while his first family, which included Brandy and her siblings, processed the specific experience of watching their father get rich and famous and distant simultaneously.
See, I gotta be real careful because Lori, boy, she be in my, I can't make no mistakes. I can't make sense. I saw one of her exes somewhere at a game somewhere and I shook his hand, boy, I can't even touch his no more. I better not acknowledge him or look at him or nothing no more. So I'm off limits. If you are ex, your is my ex too. That's the rule. The rule in our house is any boy that's an ex, he's now my ex too.
The abandonment is not speculative. Steve has spoken publicly about the difficult years, about not being present in the way he should have been, about the choices he made when his career was ascending and his first family was the thing that suffered for it. He left Marcia, his first wife, to raise their children largely alone. He was not paying support consistently. His daughters grew up without the father that was now being celebrated everywhere as one of the warmest and most devoted family men on television.
In a way where, like, you know, like he said, like if we going through something, we'll call each other because we feel for each other, because we know the real person.
Right, yeah.
I know they lying about you online.
And then that same father adopted Marjorie's children and raised them with the resources and the attention and the access that his first family had not received. Lori, in particular, has been positioned as Steve's favorite in ways that have not gone unnoticed by his biological children. The way he talks about her in interviews, the way he describes her choices in her relationships, the specific protectiveness he extends to her that he has sometimes had to be reminded extends to other daughters too. Brandy and her siblings have been largely absent from the events Marjorie organizes and the occasions that get documented and shared. And the reading of that absence from people who have been watching the family dynamics is not that they are simply busy. It is that they do not feel at home in the version of the Harvey family that Marjorie built.
I don't even know where to start with my most memorable moment. It's all been special, and I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate the man that you are, the example that you are for our children, for our sons, for our daughters. I mean, I just appreciate how you love me, how you loved my children as though they were yours, how you treat my parents as though they were your parents. Just everything. You're just the perfect example.
That context is the reason Brandy leaking Lori's emotional state is not just gossip. It is the expression of a dynamic that has been building for years. A woman who was abandoned by a father who is now overprotective of someone else's daughter. Watching that someone else experience the consequences of choices that her father and his wife helped shape. And apparently finding the restraint to stay quiet about it, finally running out. Now let us get into what the situation actually is and why the Oscar made it so pointed. Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey were together for roughly a year and a half. By every visible account from the outside and every account from people who knew them, it was real.
Yes, I'm on vacation right now, okay? I'm traveling around. And newsflash, okay? All right? Yeah. There's not a lot of black women in Italy, okay? It's not. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's not, okay? Oh, plug it. I read through the comments and shit. Y'all tearing your boy up. It's too much, man. Y'all doing too much, all right?
He was intentional in a way that was visible. He brought her home to meet his parents, something he has done extraordinarily rarely across his entire romantic history. He spent the holidays with her family. Steve Harvey talked about him in interviews with the specific warmth of a father who likes the man his daughter is with, who sees character and intention and who wants it to work out. He described Michael as a really good guy from a good family. He talked about the gifts Michael brought to the household, including cigars chosen with the specific knowledge of what Steve likes and equipment for Marjorie that reflected someone paying attention. He said he was pulling for him. That level of integration into a family is not casual.
Said that she wasn't ready because when a woman finds a good one, then that's what you're looking for. But I will say that she's young still, you know what I mean? And I too was looking forward to them making it because I thought, oh, you know what? She's been looking for someone to keep on her arm, to be able to have a relationship with that is meaningful and then successful, because we know that the girl gonna keep her somebody that is gonna be newsworthy, you know. But I think
family, Saray.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, she ain't no joke. And she ain't. And her mama, Marjorie, my girlfriend, she gonna make sure that she doing and navigating the right way. Cause she gonna make sure that she is. And I think every mother should do that, you know. But I think at the same time, she's young. I think the established relationship that Michael did have before this one, I think that maybe that social media, that all of that was a lot for him. And I think that he, you know, I heard about his ex, and him was so serious that he may have missed.
You do not shop that carefully for your girlfriend's stepfather's cigars if you are not thinking about permanence. You do not bring someone home to your parents twice in your life and have one of those times be this relationship if it is not the relationship. And then Lori ended it. Her stated reason that she was enjoying being single, that she wanted to do what made her happy, was the kind of explanation that is technically an explanation and practically nothing at all, because it did not account for the man who had organized his life around her, who had made his intentions about the future visible, who the Harvey family patriarch was openly rooting for in interviews. The ending of the relationship had the specific quality of a decision that had not been fully shared with the person it was being made about until it arrived. What happened next is where the Harvey family's management of the narrative becomes the story within the story, because Michael B. Jordan, who was visibly heartbroken in the footage that circulated from the period immediately after the split, did not say anything. His friends gathered around him. He processed it. He went back to work. He did not give interviews about what happened. He did not go on social media. He let the silence be his position. The Harvey side did not stay silent. Lisa Ray, Marjorie's close friend, started giving interviews that redirected the story away from Lori simply choosing to leave and toward Michael having done something. The version she was promoting was that there had been cheating involved, that Michael had been involved with a white ex-girlfriend, that Lori had wanted to marry him but had discovered something that made that impossible. This narrative, floated through a best friend rather than stated directly by Lori or Marjorie, was designed to take the fumble off Lori's record and put the responsibility on Michael. Michael has addressed the specific accusation that he does not date or value black women in enough interviews and enough formats that his position on the matter is clear and consistent. He has said it was the funniest rumor he had ever heard, that his family laughed about it, that he loves women across the board and his history should speak for itself. The specific irony of that accusation being weaponized against him by the family of the black woman he had been intentionally and devotedly in a relationship with for a year and a half is not small. He let the Harvey family have their narrative moment. He did not fight it publicly. He went and built the thing he was building. And the thing he was building turned out to be an Academy Award-winning performance that made him one of the 6 black men in the history of the Oscars to win Best Actor. When that win was announced, the internet immediately connected it to Lori. Not because anyone was trying to be cruel, but because the story writes itself. The man who wanted to marry her, the man whose family she met, the man who was described by her own stepfather as a great guy he was pulling for. That man is now an Oscar winner. And she tried to call him to offer congratulations and went to voicemail. Whether the voicemail situation is accurate, whether he genuinely did not answer and genuinely did not call back, is something only Michael knows. But the reporting that has come out through various sources, and now specifically through what Brandy Harvey is apparently sharing, suggests that the congratulatory outreach did not produce the response Lori was hoping for, and that the lack of response hit harder than she had anticipated. Marjorie consoling her daughter at that hour of the morning, the crying, the pillow, all of it is being served to the public through the voice of the daughter Marjorie did not raise, the daughter who has the most complicated feelings about what Marjorie represents in this family, and who is now the source of the most humanizing and most unflattering detail about Lori that has emerged in this entire story. The layering of that is worth sitting with. Brandy Harvey did not have to say this. She chose to. The specific choice to put her stepsister's emotional state, the very private, very vulnerable image of a young woman crying in the middle of the night over a man she cannot get back on the phone, into the public conversation is not an accident. It is an act of disclosure that carries an intention. Whether that intention is purely about family resentment or whether there is something else underneath it, the effect is the same. Lori Harvey, who has carefully managed her public image as someone on her own terms, someone who does not chase and does not regret, is now being described as spending the night of Michael's Oscar win in tears. The internet has processed this with the specific relentlessness it reserves for situations that have a satisfying moral shape. Lori talked about being the prize. Lori talked about not compromising her standards. Lori talked about walking away from situations that no longer served her. And the man she walked away from is now an Oscar winner who will not pick up her call. The comments write themselves. The memes write themselves. The specific irony of every statement she made about moving on being replayed against the image of her crying into her pillow while her mother stays up through the night. That irony is being processed loudly and without mercy. Steve Harvey's position in all of this continues to be the most quietly revealing part of the broader story. He liked Michael. He made that clear in enough public settings that it is documented. He has had to navigate the specific indignity of a household rule that requires him to treat every man his daughter has dated as his own former enemy. A rule that produced the now famous story about him getting in trouble for shaking hands with someone at a basketball game. He has been publicly affectionate about Lori while clearly still holding something warm toward Michael that the household arrangement has required him not to express too directly. The cryptic posts he made in the period after the breakup, the love yourself posts, the thank God for what did not happen posts, were read by the internet as coded expressions of solidarity with Michael rather than with his own family's position. Whether that reading was accurate, only Steve knows. But the fact that those posts exist, that he made them in the specific window when the Harvey family was otherwise running a narrative that was not flattering to Michael, is a detail that has stayed with people. Now Brandy Harvey is the source that is filling in the picture. The daughter from the first family, the one who did not grow up in the house that Marjorie built, the one who has been absent from the events and the curated family moments and the public displays of blended family harmony. She is apparently talking. And what she is saying is giving the internet the scene it has been imagining since the Oscar was announced. The specific detail that Brandy chose to share, not a financial dispute or a family argument or a conflict about how the blended family operates, but the image of Lori crying, Marjorie up in the early morning hours holding her together, the physical and emotional vulnerability of a young woman in private grief, is the most humanizing and most weaponizable thing that could have been disclosed. It is humanizing because it strips away the carefully managed public persona and reveals the actual feeling underneath. It is weaponizable because the internet does not generally extend gentleness to public figures whose public persona has been built around a kind of invincibility. Lori Harvey has performed invincibility for a long time. The prize, the standards, the not chasing, the moving on. All of it has been the presentation of a woman for whom romantic loss is something that happens to other people and from which she departs cleanly. The crying into the pillow at the news of the Oscar win is the crack in that presentation. It says that whatever she told herself about how she felt about Michael and about her decision to end things, the reality of watching him reach that height without her, and specifically without being able to reach him to say anything about it, hits somewhere real. Brandy Harvey knows that crack is significant. She knows what it means for Lori's narrative to include that image. Whether she is sharing it because she is genuinely concerned about Lori and wants the full picture out there, or whether she is sharing it because the years of watching her father treat Lori with a favoritism that his biological daughters did not receive have produced a specific appetite for this kind of disclosure. That is the question only Brandy can answer honestly. What the internet has decided, fairly or not, is that the disclosure has the energy of the latter. The Harvey family dynamics have been discussed enough, in enough public spaces, by enough people who have been paying attention, that the context Brandy is operating in is not a mystery. A daughter whose father was absent in her childhood, who watched him build a warm and visible and financially secure family with someone else's children, who has been consistently on the margins of the public version of the Harvey family, while Lori has been at its center. That daughter choosing this specific moment, this specific image, to insert into the public conversation is not an accident of timing or an unguarded expression of concern. It is the most pointed possible response to the years of being the daughter who did not get to be Steve's favorite. That reading does not mean the disclosure is false. Marjorie may have been up until the early morning hours with Lori. Lori may have been devastated by the voicemail. These things can be real and still be disclosed for reasons that have more to do with Brandy's feelings about her own family position than with Lori's well-being. Truth and motivation are separate questions, and Brandy does not need pure motives for what she is sharing to be accurate. The Harvey family has always projected a specific kind of unity publicly. The blended family narrative has been part of Steve's brand for years. The man who built something beautiful the second time around, who loves all of his children, including the ones he adopted, who created a family that the culture is supposed to find inspiring. That narrative has required a certain amount of collaboration from everyone involved. It has required the children who have complicated feelings about how the family was constructed to keep those complications private. It has required the absences from events to not be commented on, the dynamics to not be examined too closely, the specific grievances of the first family to remain inside the family. Brandy talking about this is the first family refusing to maintain the collaboration. It is the wall that the public version of the Harvey family required everyone to stand behind, developing its first visible crack. And doing so in a moment when the blended family's most prominent representative is at her most vulnerable. The internet has been watching the Harvey family dynamics with the specific curiosity of people who sense that the public version is a managed version and have been waiting for the managing to stop. What Brandy is sharing is not the totality of what the managing has been covering, but it is the beginning of an account from someone with a perspective the public has not had access to. And the fact that this perspective is being expressed through the disclosure of Lori's private grief, rather than through a direct confrontation of the family's dynamics, is the most interesting thing about how Brandy has chosen to enter this conversation. She is not saying anything about Steve's parenting. She is not directly addressing Marjorie's role in the family. She is not talking about the Christmas absences, or the events she did not attend, or the favoritism that sources have described. She is simply telling the internet about the night Lori cried over the Oscar, which is both the most humanizing and the most strategic possible thing she could contribute to this moment. Michael B. Jordan has built his career on doing the internal work and letting the external results speak. He has talked in interviews about believing in his path even when the destination was not visible, about maintaining his purpose, about not seeking external validation for the direction he was moving. The Oscar is the external result speaking as loudly as any external result can speak in the entertainment industry. It is the answer to every narrative that was floated about him in the aftermath of the breakup. Every suggestion that he was not the right man, every implication that his preferences were not what they appeared, every attempt to make his heartbreak someone else's fault. He does not need to respond to any of it. The Oscar responded. The voicemail responded. And Brandy Harvey, from the specific corner of the Harvey family that has the most complicated feelings about the whole arrangement, is making sure the response is fully understood. What comes next in this story depends on who decides to stop being quiet. Lori has not addressed the Oscar conversation directly. Michael has not addressed anything about Lori since before the breakup. Steve's cryptic posts have stopped. Marjorie has been silent. And Brandy, having dropped this specific disclosure into the public conversation, has apparently made her contribution for now. The memoir that Lori has reportedly been working on, if it addresses this period of her life honestly, could close some of what is currently open or deepen it further, depending on how it engages with Michael, with the narrative that was run against him after the breakup, and with what she actually understands about what she walked away from. She has talked in enough public settings about trusting her instincts and not compromising her peace that the memoir version of the relationship with Michael is going to be read against all of that language with considerable scrutiny. The cultural conversation about this situation has a staying power that most celebrity breakup stories do not, because the Oscar gives it a resolution that most stories never get. Usually these dynamics, the one who left, the one who was left, the narrative management, the public positioning, stay unresolved indefinitely. Two people's careers continue in their respective directions without a moment that definitively answers the question of who was right about what. The Oscar answered it, not about character. Michael being an Oscar winner does not make him a better person than Lori, but about the specific framing that surrounded the breakup. The suggestion that he was not what he appeared to be, that his preferences were not what he said they were, that his commitment was to someone else. All of that framing, crafted and distributed through the channels available to the Harvey family, has now been answered by the most public and unimpeachable measure of professional validation available in the industry. Lori cried about it, Marjorie sat with her, and Brandy Harvey made sure the rest of us knew. Whether Lori recovers her footing from this moment is a question the internet has strong opinions about, and she has said nothing to address. She has been increasingly linked to her former relationship with Damson Idris in the wake of the Oscar moment, a dynamic that adds its own layer to the conversation about choices and directions and who ends up where. Damson is talented and respected in his own right. He is also not Michael B. Jordan at this particular moment in the cultural conversation about this particular story. The Oscar sits in Michael's house. The voicemail sits in Lori's phone. And Brandy Harvey, Operating from the specific vantage point of a woman who has watched this family's dynamics with the complex feelings that her history with Steve produces, is apparently making sure the story gets told. So here is where this sits. Michael B. Jordan won the Oscar, reportedly sent Lori's call to voicemail and never returned it. And Brandy Harvey is the source describing Marjorie consoling Lori through the night. Steve Harvey's first daughter is leaking the emotional state of Steve Harvey's favorite. And the specific family tension underneath that move is as significant as the content of the leak itself. Do you think Brandy Harvey's decision to talk about this is about genuine feeling for what Lori is going through? Or is this the expression of years of family resentment finding the right moment? And does Lori deserve the dragging she is getting from the internet over this? Or is the conversation starting to go further than is fair? Drop everything in the comments, hit that like, and subscribe. Because Michael has not addressed any of this, and Lori has not addressed any of this, and the silence from both of them is keeping the story running.